Welcome to the Live, Love, and Leave a Legacy podcast. I'm your host, Jerry, and I know that music keeps playing, and one day I'm going to have somebody record something cool like a genuine Live, Love, Leave a Legacy rap beginning or something. But until then, there's music that comes to the Roadcaster Bronze, what you're going to hear, because I enjoy that little intro music. Sounds more like, I don't know, like a little more professional, but hey, you might be like, man, Pastor, come on. But it's the third one. Welcome to season 1, episode 3. And man, if you've been able to go through the first 2 and come to the third one, that's pretty cool. I just want to say thank you. And I appreciate your support, because the more views I see, the more, it's like it gives me motivation to keep doing this. And I, not just at any level, but a high level, because your time is important to me, just like my time is important to me. And I'm invested a lot of time in this, so I want to do this right. So that between us, we can have such a great time learning and growing together and, being successful in this thing called life. And again, the title of this podcast is Live, Love, and Leave a Legacy. Because you and I, one day, are going to take our last breath. And people are going to reflect on how we lived, how we love, how we loved, and then determine the legacy we left behind based on our impact on their lives. It's just a fact. Now, when you think about the word legacy, because that's what we're talking about today, legacy. And I got my glasses on, so I'm going to read a little bit. So now when I look at the definition of legacy, in the noun form, it's an amount of money or property left to someone in a will. The long-lasting impact of particular events or actions that took place in the past or of a person's life. And then in an adjective form, it's denoting or relating to software. How, anyways, that one's not that important, but it's in a sense it means putting a stamp on the future, making a contribution to future generations. There's another little thing that says people leave a legacy to know that their life mattered. Gaining clarity on what you want your legacy to be can give your life meaning and purpose. A legacy is something we leave behind after we are gone. That is a truth that you and I cannot avoid. There's a day to be born and there's a day we're going to die. And, you and I we have loved ones that have passed away. My dad passed away already. My pastor passed away. If you listen to the first episode, then my first wife passed away. Got a best friend who passed away. Joaquin, love you and miss you. It's just one of those things, It's, in this life, we don't live forever. I remember when I was a little kid, I thought I was going to live forever. I didn't even thought about death. You're too young to think about that. But as we get older, we realize that, hey, that day is coming. And, when my wife passed away, let me give you a little more clarity about that one. I took my wife to the hospital on a Thursday because she was having trouble with her breathing. And then they found some growths on her liver. And then they saw the stuff that was in her lungs, but they say that it looks like the cancer didn't originate. They knew that they kind of told me that they had cancer. They didn't kind of told me. They just weren't sure where it originated, but they knew it wasn't in the liver, it wasn't in the lungs. So they asked to do a mammogram. So that was Thursday. I took her to go get a mammogram on Monday. Wednesday, we got the report that it was confirmed that she had stage 4 breast cancer. Thursday, we met with a specialist online. Friday, I took my wife to the ER. And Sunday, my wife passed away. Just like that. Didn't have time to prepare. I don't think you could ever be prepared for that anyways, But it just happened so fast. And my wife taught me to be intentional. I'm a lot more intentional than I've ever been in my life because of that day when she passed away. Literally when they say here today, gone tomorrow, it's just, that's how it felt. And so now I'm here. You're there, and you're listening to me, and I'm listening to myself with these headphones on, and I'm being reminded even right now as I'm talking to you how important what we do with our lives is, because we leave a legacy. And as a minister, I've done a lot of funerals, and one of the first funerals I ever did was a very difficult one. I got a phone call from a pastor friend of mine and said if I could cover for him because he wasn't able to do it. And I remember from the moment I walked into the church, there was just this coldness about this. The atmosphere was so cold. And there's a gentleman in a casket right there who was a father. And as I'm starting to meet family and people, I start realizing that this guy, he had his wife on one side with his children from his wife on one side of the sanctuary. And then on the other side of the sanctuary was his Sancha, his girlfriend, with kids that he had with her on the left side of the sanctuary as I'm looking down. And it was such a hard funeral to do because as I looked out and the impression that of the people was about what he did is he left a legacy of pain and hurt, because, he was unfaithful to his wife and his children. And then he had another, girlfriend with kids. And, it was awkward, real awkward, man. I mean, it was the hardest funeral I've had to do this day in terms of trying to bring some kind of hope. I mean, even when it came time for someone to come up and say something positive or say a memory, nobody wanted to come up. And that's rough, to be at your funeral or to think that at your funeral, nobody even wanted to talk on your behalf. But I've also had the privilege of doing some amazing funerals because a man or a woman was honored at their funeral because why? They left a legacy of love. They left a legacy of making an impact in not only their immediate family, but extended family and friends and with just a lot of people. And their life is celebrated. It's like when you ask someone to come and share a memory, there's a line. They left a legacy. And that, what a beautiful thing. I mean, those funerals mean a lot to me because I learned a lot from those funerals because I would listen to what people said about them. I'm like, man, that's how I want people to remember me. That's how I want my kids to say about me. But I got to live that. And this is a long road. I mean, I was at our founder of Victory Outreach's Pastor Sonny Arganzoni, and I was at his 85th birthday not too long ago. And I'm sitting not too far away from him to where I could still watch him. And he's sitting there and he has the honor of listening to his grandkids, sing to him or say stuff about him, his own children and his children. And then he's got his great grandkids at that same table. And I'm like, I'm 51 and he's 85. I still got 34 more years to go. If God gives me that long of a life, man, I mean, I still got a long ways to go. So this is where that understanding that when we have purpose, it gives us a vision for our lives that every day I get up, I want to make a difference. I want to live right. I want to honor God. I want to honor my family. I want to honor my children. I want to honor my wife, Doreen. I want to, honor my ministry and the opportunities that I have to be who I am in the community. But it's something that you got to get up every day and want to do. And that's not always easy in this thing, called life, because you don't always want to get up every day and do the right thing. But that's where when you have a legacy mind and you have a kingdom mind where your mind is fixed on things above and not things below, you realize, hey, what I do in the now affects the future. What I do in the now affects what I'm going to leave behind. And I even for me, this podcast is for you, right? But it's also for my grandkids. I don't know how long I got to live, but I want my grandkids to be able to access at least who was my grandpa, what was he about, and that they could learn a little bit about me through these podcasts or through the videos of my preaching or but more importantly, I want to make myself available to them and remind them too that I want them to live. I want them to love and leave a legacy for the next generation, my great grandkids, because I don't want this to stop. And I even remind my kids, man, don't blow it. I mean, your mom, you worked hard to get you guys this far, and now it's up to you, because I want my grandkids to have it better than them. And I even tell them, don't spoil my grandkids, man, because in this life, nothing's for free. You got to fight for everything. And I want my grandkids to learn how to fight in this life. I don't need spoiled grandkids who forget that or think that everything just is given to them. No, in this life, you got to go after. You got to go after it. And I don't want to lose what God has given us. I want them to cherish it and appreciate it And if we spoil our kids, then they don't appreciate it. Then they squander it, or they think, it's always been like this. No, man, my parents, they fought hard to give us what we had. Mom and me fought hard to give my kids what they have and the experiences. And it wasn't easy. It was difficult, but we did our best. And now Doreen and I got to do our best now for all 6 of our kids to fight hard to ensure that our kids have a mom and dad to look up to see us in our today, in our moment now, and to see that we're still striving to live a life that honors God, that pleases God, but that reflects that most excellent way. And that a most excellent way that Paul was talking about to the church in Corinth is that way of love. And to love in a way that you leave a legacy that supersedes you. And so it's so important that you and I think about, how are we going to be remembered? What impact are we going to leave in this world? And remember, this is where we have to be careful with this word called pride. Because pride is every man or every woman's downfall. Pride says, this is who I am. Deal with it. You don't like it? Tough. Or, we're men or with pride. We will sing that song, Sigo siendo el rey. Well, that's not true. Or, I'll do whatever I want. And you can do that. You can have that attitude, but you're not going to leave a legacy of impact, of love, that you're going to leave a legacy of hurt like that. Because that means you're going to refuse to change. You're going to say, I don't want to change because this my way or the highway. We can't live like that because, we could choose to, but we're not going to live our best life like that. Look, we're not that smart, man. I don't mean to disrespect you, but I tell you, I stay dumb enough to listen to God because I don't know tomorrow. I don't know what tomorrow brings, but I know who does. I don't have control over everything, but I know who does. So I stay dumb enough to listen to God, to stay teachable, to be a student of life and of scripture, and I got big ears as it is, but I want to be able to listen. And right now I talk a lot because I'm in this podcast, but I've learned to listen a lot more than talk. I learned that I got to be a learner, or else I got nothing to give you, right? Without God, I got nothing to give you. But God brings value to my life because it helps me understand life in a greater capacity. Even though, it's not that much, but at least I'm a lot better off with God than I was without him. I'd be lost without God because then I would be an emotionally led man. And a man who's led by his emotions is a weak man. We have to be a man that we're not led by, or men and women who are led by our emotions, but we're led by what's right. Because if I lead by my emotions, I'm going to go drink again. If I lead by my emotions, I'm not going to be faithful in the things that God's giving me. So no, not how I feel. It's what's right, what God called me to be, because I want to leave a legacy that honors God, that leads my kids, to show them that, no, you can live this life and you can do it for the rest of your life. That's why it's so important that we protect ourselves. Even the Bible says, guard your salvation with fear and trembling. I tell the men that I work with, look, this is really important for you to get this. Whenever you watch a boxing match or an MMA fight, some of the most important instruction that the referee gives is that the two fighters before they get it on is protect yourself at all times. Because the last thing you want to do is end up on the highlight reel because you got cocky, because you were winning the fight. Then you started dancing around and sticking your head out, and it's happened before. That's why you look at those, knockouts. You end up on the highlight reel on ESPN of getting knocked out because you got cocky and you got confident and you let your guard down. You got complacent, and then you got knocked out. And if you look at history, there are great men and women of God who had great reputations, who were men and women that had done great things for God. But then one day they dropped their God and they dropped their guard, and literally they dropped their God and lost it all. You don't want to be that one that you forget your why you're doing what you do. That you get up one day and you don't get up with this purpose, with this intentional to live your best life, to live love and leave a legacy, to not be like everybody else, but to do what's right. And it's so important that, that we understand this, that this is not easy. That getting up every day with intention is not easy. Getting up every day with this desire to go after everything that God has for you, to go after everything that this thing called life has for us, it is not easy. It is something that you and I have to go after day in and day out. Now, this is why when I talk about legacy, I talk about the maverick way, and I'm going to go a lot more into the maverick way in this next episode. But let me give you a little. When you're a maverick, that means that you do things unorthodox. You're independent minded. Now, as a believer, I'm not independent of God. But when we talk about the maverick way, we're talking about this fact that being a man of righteousness, being a woman of righteousness, is not the most popular thing anymore. That when you really want to live this life that's an honorable life, a life that leaves a legacy of faith, hope, and love, then you're not doing what everybody else is doing, because society today does not believe in real love. Society, how do we know that? Because 1 in 2 marriages ends in divorce. Because when you look at the country we live in, it is the most advanced, richest country in the world, but yet it is the most fatherless of homes in the world. America is number 1 in fatherless homes. Number 1 in incarceration of juveniles, and it's up there in number I think number 3 behind Cuba and some of the incarceration of men. I mean, those are things that we don't want to be known for, but we are. Now, we don't hear about it a lot, right? When you watch shows nowadays, there's not the Waltons, and some of you may not know, but you can look them up, right? The Andy Griffith Show, right? The Leave It to Beavers, Bonanza, even the Cartwrights had class. You know what I'm saying? Where the man was honored, where there was a family structure, where integrity was valued and celebrated, where you fought for the right reasons, and it's so important. And those shows are they're not around no more. Now the dad is some dummy who forgets everything, and he's the laughing stock of the show. America has turned its back on what a real man looks like, and it's up to you and me to be models of what a real man and what a real woman who cares about the legacy that we're leaving, to really show up and be that person, right? You want to be a real husband, it's not easy. You want to be a real wife, it's not that easy. You want to be a real family person or family oriented, it's not easy, because you're fighting the culture that we're growing, that our kids are growing up, and even our kids struggle with it, man. Their identities, I mean, my God, are they not under attack? That's why if we don't do it as you, I'm talking about you, whoever it is that you're watching, you and I have a responsibility to live this life in a way that's respectable, with integrity, with honor, with righteousness. Because there's very few of those around now. That's why it's the maverick way. Not everybody wants to live this life, to love honorably. No. Even when you talk about love, you have to talk about forgiveness. People have a hard time forgiving these days. They're like, no, you don't understand what they did to me. Forgiveness is not for them, it's for you. You need to release yourself from that obligation of trying to hold these grudges against people that they don't even care about you. They don't even think about it. And here you are stressing over that stuff. As it is, I mean, stress and anxiety are all-time high in this nation. Why? Because we don't have an anchor. We don't have this thing called faith to get us through these hard times. So we stress out about it. We're anxious about it. We have depression and medication, all this stuff that's going on that's hurting us. It's not helping us. It's hurting us. Alcohol, drugs are all-time high. But you know what else is on all-time high is the sale of Bibles. I heard that last year, I read somewhere, was an all-time number of Bibles sold. People are seeking the truth. And it's the truth that'll set you free. The truth is you can live this life in a way that's honorable. You can have an amazing marriage. You can have amazing kids. You can have this amazing life that's not this Hollywood thing or this novela or this thing it can be a reality, but it starts with you and me. You and me got to decide to desire that more than anything else. Remember, things don't get better till you and me get better. And it starts right here with the way we think. If you can, you're right. If you can't, you're right also. Right? But I'm challenging you to really think about the legacy you're leaving. And time is something that's really important to you and me, because we don't know how much time we have. I listened to a gentleman, he explained it like this. He says, your headstone's already almost done. Your name's on there. Your date of birth is on there. Then there's this little dash that you and I are living in. There's a question mark on it, but you and I are living in that little dash. I mean, the older we get, it seems like the time goes by even quicker. I mean, it's the end of January almost in 2025. And here we are, about to go into February, and it just seemed like we celebrated the New Year's. And it's going to go by that quick. So this is not something you want to sit on. If you've been struggling with it, I challenge you, man. Challenge yourself. Because this is going to be the greatest year of your life if you do. The last thing you want to do is you want to go away with regrets. You only get one shot at this thing called life. Do whatever you got to do to live your best life by being your best. You know? Now, I read and heard multiple times we talk about where you know where the greatest buried treasure is? Think about where's the most buried treasures at? And I've read multiple times they say in cemeteries. In cemeteries, you'll find inventions that were buried with the man or woman because they never created them. Books that were never written are buried there. Songs that were never written or sung, movies, whatever it may be. There's all this buried treasure in cemeteries because people didn't have the courage to go after it. I almost didn't do this podcast because I lacked courage. But God gave me the courage. Now I'm excited to do this because I'm excited what it's going to do to you. It's going to challenge you and challenge me. That we continue to do this together. Because I'm not where I'm at today because of me. I haven't figured this all out all by myself. I've had a number of people come into my life at the right time to encourage me and guide me on my journey at just the right time. But I had to be open to be coachable, right? Now, coachable is such an important part in the legacy you're going to leave. You need to allow yourself to be coachable. You need to surround yourself with people that are, you got to find people that you want to be like and hang out with them. Because they say that you're the average of the 5 people you hang out with the most. So you want to hang out, you want better finance, hang out with people that know how to manage their finances. You want to get healthier in 2025, hang out with people that are healthy. You know what I mean? You want to copy or be like someone who's a great husband or great wife. Hang out with people like that who value that role and really rock that role, and then learn from them. Don't be afraid to ask questions, man. And then don't be afraid to ask for help. Asking for help is such an important thing. I've only gotten this far because I've had the courage to ask for help when I needed it, man. Don't go through life letting pride get in the way of that. We all got problems. There's nobody perfect out there. I don't care how much money they got. I don't care what car they drive. Everybody has problems. Nobody has a perfect marriage. Nobody has perfect kids. Nobody has a perfect life, but doesn't mean you can't have a blessed life. I'm telling you, you could do it. With God is like Home Depot. You could do it and He'll help you. All you got to do is ask Him. Well, that's it for today, for this episode. But we're going to talk about that Maverick way a little bit more on the next episode. So, click, like, subscribe, and share it with people. If you're enjoying this, share it so that others can be blessed and encouraged, And until next time, be blessed, be brave, be bold, but most importantly, be you. Be the best version of you. Let's live love and leave a legacy. God bless you. Till next time.